Welcome to another episode of Lokesh Gets Personal. I am Lokesh and I get personal. For all those people who don't know, I am a radio presenter here in Dubai. I work for an organization called Arabian Radio Network. I work for the Bollywood radio station called City 1016, where I present the evening show with Mariam. And today I'm actually talking to one of my friends, my colleague. She also works at Arabian Radio Network, Virgin Radio. She presents the breakfast show on Virgin Radio. Her name is Priti Malik.
Hi, Loki.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
While preparing for this particular podcast, I was just going through on YouTube and different websites, that have taken your interview, and I kind of realized that you've already done some 3 or 4 podcasts off late.
Yeah.
3 of them released in the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. A lot of Priti. Sorry.
We don't mind that at all.
Sorry.
Do you ever sit and kind of think why people are getting so curious about you? One, or do you think that there's like a small pool of people here in the UAE and everyone just wants to interview those people?
I think there's a little bit of imposter syndrome with me with that sometimes because
Okay.
I'm like, why? It's like I work on the radio. It's just a job. I think sometimes we look at it like that. I'm
Right.
sure you must feel the same sometimes. Like, this is my job. I
Right.
work on the radio. We don't look at anything outside of that. It's my job. It's what I do. It's my career. So when people are curious, it's nice. But sometimes I do think like, why? It's just me. I'm just a girl on the radio.
So what are your expectations from this podcast? You've already done like 4 podcasts off late. You've
Okay.
already spoken for like 30, 40 minutes
Yeah.
with 4 different people.
Yeah.
I know I've kind of sent you like a basic
Yeah,
plan
yeah.
of what the podcast is going to be, but what are you thinking?
All I know is that you have a very different perspective on life, which I really appreciate, and I really truly enjoy reading when you post something. So knowing you, I know you're thinking something completely left field,
Okay.
and I'm ready for it.
So it's called Lokesh Gets Personal.
Yeah.
So the ground rules are that, of course, I'm going to get personal.
Yep.
But again, I'm coming from a place where I want to explore different topics and issues through different people who
Yep.
I find very interesting.
Love it.
So I had like a few headings and subheadings in my head. So I'm going to go one by one.
Done.
We're going to start with your work radio.
Okay.
Before I say anything, I think you're one of the most captivating voices. I actually use this word very, very carefully, and I mean every bit of it. I think you're one of the most captivating voices on the radio because I feel there's content, there's value add, your take on stories. All those things are intact, but at the same time, I think I love the texture of your voice. You're a very happy voice on the radio, and you have such clarity of thoughts. You don't go in a loop, you're not repetitive, and your delivery is absolutely fantastic. Just the
Thank
basics.
you. That's amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Just the basics of all radio, I think you tick all the boxes.
Thanks.
So yeah,
Please tell my boss too.
I'm sure he's watching.
Hi, James.
Your camera's here.
Oh,
by
sorry.
the way.
Hi, James. I can see that too. Hi, James.
Are you an ambitious person?
Yes.
How ambitious?
Less ambitious than I was in my teens and 20s, but I am. Yeah.
Okay, and if you were to rate yourself as an on-air talent, as a radio person, out of 10, how much are you going to give yourself?
6.
Are you being too harsh on yourself?
Always.
Too modest?
I don't think modest is the word. I think I'm my worst critic, my
So-
harshest critic.
So what are the things that you think that you can work on to bring a 6 to an 8 or 9?
Storytelling. I'm always trying to tell stories better and to take mundane things and tell stories about the mundane things. I think that's one of my aims. And I think the reason I say 6 is because I'm one of those people who always want something to aspire to as well. So like, I feel like we all can always be better. You haven't finished the game yet.
So, but tell me the things, like specific things.
Specific things,
When
so
you
I'll
say
tell you.
storytelling, what do you mean that?
So like if, sometimes I think I get into this rut of, especially when you're in an ensemble show, sometimes you think someone else is going to say it, but then you forget that, hey, there's something happening in your life too that you need to say. And it's not a negative thing. I think it's just me. This is a me, Preeti, personal thing where I need to be like, hey, 10 things did happen in my day, but I just didn't take note of it. And I think sometimes, we get busy. The Dubai life is busy. So I forget to note those things down. So I feel like I can be a little bit better at that. And telling those little stories as well.
So more assertive, should I say?
Not
No,
assertive.
no.
It's just me personally. Like sometimes I feel like my life is not interesting enough to share.
Okay.
That's a very personal thing.
Okay.
No one else
Okay.
in a room thinks that.
Okay.
No one. Yeah, I know that for a fact. No one thinks that.
Hmm.
But I think that
Mm,
sometimes,
mm.
that my life is not interesting enough for me to make it a story
4
on the radio.
podcasts in 2 months, Preeti. Your life is very interesting.
But,
People want to
but that's
know.
that's what I'm saying, the imposter syndrome, right? For me, sometimes,
Yeah.
because sometimes, you know, my day will be coming home, I go to the gym, I come home from the gym, I eat my lunch, then whatever in between that day has, and then I take my dog for a walk, and then I come home, and then I eat my dinner, you know?
Cool. So the good thing is at least you're aware of it, and now you're going to work on it,
Yes,
so that
exactly.
you can tell more stories of your life and
Yeah, of me walking my dog.
sure.
Yeah.
How
But
exciting is that?
so exciting.
Okay, I'm going to straight dive into it
Go
now.
for it.
When would we have the Priti Malik show? Why don't we have the Priti Malik show? You've been on the Kris Fade show for like last 14 years.
Yeah,
And I know Kris Fade, you know, every time I've like kind of run into him in the office, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
And this is not like a reflection on
yeah.
anything, but I feel, and I think all three of you work really well together because everyone of you has like such a specific role on the show.
Yeah.
But I also feel that you have such a unique take on things. You have such interesting thoughts, interesting ways of putting things across. I'm rooting for the Preeti Malik show.
I don't want the Priti Malik show.
I know because in one of your interviews, you said that you are not a solo
Yeah,
jock person,
yeah.
but you could also have a Preeti Malik to Preeti Malik. You could also have a Kris Fade or a Rossi to Preeti Malik. Why,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you like to have the Preeti Malik show? Because I think everything is going for you. Like,
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I truly do appreciate that. And I'll tell you why. So, when I decided that I want to be on the radio, right? I still listen to Z100 in New York. This is the show that I grew up with, Elvis Duran in the morning show. And there's a wonderful woman on there called Danielle Monero. And I grew up listening to these voices. Everyone has a voice you grew up listening to. And so Elvis, Danielle, and all these people. Danielle is the gossip, kind of like me. Is the co-host, and she does the gossip, and she's this amazing voice on the show, and I love her to bits and pieces. And I really looked up to her growing up. And when I used to hear that show, and I still listen to that show, I love that there's 7 people on that show. And they all have stories, and they all get to have a conversation. So when I got into radio, my goal, you know how everyone has like, this is where I want to reach. My goal was to be the co-host of a breakfast show on a top 40 station.
not the main host.
No,
But
that was my goal.
but haven't things changed? And shouldn't things change in the last like over a decade?
I get that, but I love being this partner in crime. I love that. I'm comfortable with that thought, that position. I love it.
I'll tell you where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
So before this podcast, I was doing like a top 100 radio presenters in the world. I think I would have the list right now.
Ooh, I've
And-
never seen a list. I've never seen the list. Who's number 1?
I'll read out the names and you'll be surprised the kind of names that we have. So we have Sean Hannity, we have Rush Limbaugh,
Yeah,
we have Ryan Seacrest, of course,
Yeah.
we have Howard Stern,
yeah.
we have Glenn Beck, we have all these names. And the first woman to appear on this list is at number 26 or number 27.
Right.
And that just breaks my heart. And I think this is a trend around the world. I've worked for like last 27 years in
Yeah.
radio. I've seen it in India. I see it here in Dubai as well. There will be 2 people. There will be a male jock and a female jock
Yeah.
on a breakfast show. But the male guy is always leading the show. Be
makes
it
sense, yeah.
Adam in Kiss Radio in Toronto, be it Roz and Mocha show on one of the radio stations. No, sorry, actually, Adam was on Virgin Radio, Kiss FM Toronto. Around
yeah,
the world,
Yeah. It's always like that.
I have never seen a girl,
Yeah.
a female RJ,
Yeah.
leading things. You have a Malishka or you have a Guinea in India, but they are solo jocks. They don't really have a team. They don't
Yeah,
really have
yeah.
a Rossi or a,
Person to- yeah.
exactly. And
Never thought of it like that.
you know, and yeah, and I feel especially people like you
Yeah.
who are so good on the radio.
Thanks.
And I mean it, like I'm not just like kind of
I
having
know.
this.
You would never say it if
I
you
would-
don't mean it. I know.
exactly.
Yeah.
I would love to listen to Preeti Malik more often on the show. I would love to have like a full-fledged 4 hours of Preeti Malik and understand, you know, what she thinks about gossip, entertainment, world, life in Dubai, etc. So
I've never, I don't know. See, like for me, it was not like I need a male host to be the co-host. When I had that goal, I never was like, it has to be this dynamic, like the way that it is. And I guess it is like that around the world. I just like being that character because I think everyone has their strengths, and I understand what you're saying, and I get it. I
Mm.
can command a room, I can command an interview, I know I can do that.
Mm.
But it's about the joy that I have.
Mm.
I know how to do that role really well, but also turn it around on the host as well. You know what I mean? Like in conversation, on the radio is what I'm saying.
I hear you.
But in solo, I get it. Like I can also do it on my own as well.
And even if you don't want to do a solo show, you could
Yeah.
have like a Kris Fade
Yeah.
and a Rossi as your value adds on the show.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like
yeah.
the Priti Malik
Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, another question popping up in my
Yeah.
head. Do you think you've got a little comfortable with your position on Virgin Radio, on the Kris Fade Show? Do you think it's better for you to be a part of the breakfast show, which is one of the most popular
yeah.
breakfast shows in
Yeah.
town, than have another time slot on the same radio station? Because that kind of works. Is that also one of the things?
Well, as I said, my goal was to be on breakfast radio.
Mm.
So if I were to leave breakfast radio, I've just gone back 10 years on my mission, right? Like when I started working in radio, I always wanted to be at a breakfast show, always. Even when I was working in radio back home, I was on the breakfast show, like always, you know?
So then your options are pretty limited that way, because Virgin Radio is, I mean, ARN, Arabian
Yeah.
Radio Network is one of the best networks
For sure.
in town.
Yeah.
So even if you get a call from, let's say, a breakfast show on another radio station,
No, because,
Would
okay,
you-
I think you'll appreciate this as well. When you have an ensemble show, chemistry is really important. And sometimes Chris, Rossi, and I will sit together and talk about this. We've been a show with Rossi, let's say for about 12 years, 13 years. That's not a normal scenario.
it's not.
It's a rarity.
I mean, marriages don't last that long.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
shows don't last that long
Right.
because oftentimes personalities are brought together that may work for 2 or 3 years,
Right.
but buddy, you're in a studio for 4 hours a day together, the cracks are going to start to show. And I think we have struck gold with each other. Why would I want to leave when I'm working with 2 people where the chemistry works? So you want me to leave, start looking for that chemistry
Fair.
all over again
I hear you.
when I have found, and it's not about, yes, I'm comfortable, but because I have found the 2 people that I work with the best. I think we bring out the best in each other because we know each other so well. We know how to play each other's personalities. Chris knows how to get a reaction out of me. I know what to say to get him riled up. We know what to say to get Rossi riled up. He knows what to say to get us riled up.
Right.
We know each other. That, I think, in radio is a very rare thing.
But do you feel that you get heard enough on the show? Do you
150 million percent.
do you get enough space
Yes.
on the show?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Those boys, they listen.
Okay.
They listen.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a listener, sometimes I feel that, I want to hear more.
I
of
get
you.
that. And of course, I get that.
Also, not because of any other reason, but because I think my sensibilities match the most with you.
Possibly, yeah.
Like your take on life and your take on things like kind of resonate with me. So I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, what does Preeti want to say?
Yeah, what does she want to say? It's like time's running out.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Like,
I do feel I get my voice heard enough. If I didn't, I'm not the person to sit back and be like, just let it go. I'll be like, guys, this is my bit. I need to do it. So they know. I think that's the beauty of it, right? When we've been doing it for that long, we know. Like Chris knows when I'm about to go into a spiel. Like he knows.
He does.
And he'll give me the space
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
have what I need to say.
I
you know?
remember once you had like a caller on air who made a very sexist remark and you just went on.
Yeah.
And I think that bit also went viral then.
Yeah.
And then Chris just let you.
Yeah,
like,
he just
because
let
that's
me.
your space. So,
He's like,
yeah.
that's what I mean. So we know each other so well. We know where and what and who needs to speak at that time. And I
Fair.
think that's the beauty of our show,
Fair.
you know?
Okay.
And I take listen, there'll be someone listening in the car who'll be like, I want to hear more of Chris. I want to hear more of
Or
Rossi.
Rossi.
I want to hear more of Preeti. But
Yeah.
that's the beauty of having that ensemble show. There'll be someone in the car going, I want to hear more of Nala. I want to hear more of Basma. That's the beauty of the show.
Right.
You listen in because you don't know who's going to be saying what that day. And I love
Fair,
that. I
fair,
love it.
Fair.
You know?
No, as long as you feel that you have enough space. and you
Yeah,
have-
for sure.
Okay, a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Are you a star or a performer?
Ooh.
So I've been thinking a lot about this. I think all the Bollywood celebrities, singers, anyone who's performed in performing arts, either you are a Nawazuddin Siddiqui who's a performer, or you're a Salman Khan who's a complete star. Okay, or are you a Katrina Kaif who's a star, or
Yeah.
a Konkona Sen Sharma who's a complete performer? Very rarely it happens that you hit the jackpot and you're a good blend of both, let's say,
Who would you say?
Amir Khan, I would say, who is a great
Yeah,
performer,
yeah.
but I think he's more on the performance side, but he's also a huge star,
Star.
huge mega star. Do you,
Is that a term we use for radio people?
I mean, of course, we're public figures, so I'm sure people kind of,
I would say
I'm sure Chris is a star.
he is a star.
So see how quickly you said that he's a star,
He's a
and
star.
I totally believe that because every time I have seen him walk into rooms, and the only rooms that I've seen him walk in is the office rooms,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Different cabins, he makes an appearance, and I see heads turn.
Yeah.
He has a star presence. Do you see yourself as a star or a performer?
Star performer.
Performer, right?
Yeah.
Would you ever like to be a star?
In my head, I'm the star of every movie, baby. But in actuality, it's a different conversation. In my head, I have been the Madhuri Dixit of every single scenario in my life. But in real life, I think I'm a performer. Because, yeah, the first thing I ever did on stage, I'm a dancer, right? So I've been performing on stage since I was 3. So I feel like that's why maybe I think I'm just I know how to turn it on when I need to turn it on.
So then, can I relate your identity of a performer
Yeah.
to you not wanting a Priti Malik show?
Yeah, maybe. It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that
But
kind of
I
ties
love,
in.
but the thing is, I love hosting things on my own. I love like this one-on-one, if I could flip it around. Like I love having these kind of things. But when it comes to that ensemble thing, yeah, I like it. I think I'm a performer. I just think that's just my personality. I don't think I'll ever call myself a star anyways, even if under say confidence is fine.
Do
But
you think it's like kind of, will you come across as a little too brash when you say that? That's the reason you're not owning up to calling
I don't,
yourself.
first of all, I don't
Are you
think
being
I
modest?
am modest. No, I
No,
don't think I am.
that's how you feel.
Yeah, that's how I truly feel. I don't know if I've done enough yet to be able to get that title.
Okay.
I don't think I deserve that title yet. Does that make sense?
Oh, you truly deserve that
But that's
title
in your
and
eyes.
more. Oh, absolutely.
But that's in your
Absolutely.
eyes.
And okay, I don't think so that being star is above being a performer. I think these
No,
are
no,
two
no,
different
no.
things. So
They're
even if
two
you're not a
different
star,
things. Yeah.
even if you don't deserve, that's not the debate.
But I don't think it's
For me, a performer is far better actually in my head than a star. Like for me, a Konkona Saint Sharma, what she does to me when I'm watching a performance
correct.
is far bigger than a Katrina Kaif on the screen. So
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I don't think personally I've achieved what I need to achieve to be like she's a star and a performer.
So tell me the 3 things that you need to do and achieve to be a star and a performer.
Let's see.
What are you away from?
I think, so when I got this role on the show, so you started off by asking me if I'm ambitious, and I said I was more ambitious when I was in my teens and 20s.
Right.
So when I decided, this is it, Priti, you're going to be a broadcaster. I was 17. So I started immediately working in radio in 17, okay? There was nothing that could stop me from that goal. Nothing. My college life was literally just zero sleep, getting stuff done, okay? I worked on the radio station in college. I did internships. I took 6 classes. So in the States, if you know the dynamics of that, you have to get special permission to take six classes in a semester, right? So like I wanted to graduate early. I was in. People were out partying, doing all that stuff. I didn't do any of that stuff. Like I would go out, but nothing like a college typical life would be imagined as. So my head down, working towards that goal. I was a teacher's assistant in college, like teaching broadcast schools, classes and all that stuff.
So
I was one-track mind.
things that
And yeah, I'm getting to that. So I had this plan in my head, right? Like I'm going to be on the radio or television. This is what I'm going to do, and I will do whatever it takes to get there. I reached that goal at 23. Okay, so I graduated college when I was 21. I reached that goal of being a co-host on The Breakfast Show. So my 2 dreams were either you end up as a talk show host, which is a solo thing, talk show host, or you end up as the co-host of a breakfast show on the radio, on a major radio network. So I'm thinking to myself as a 21-year-old, I'll probably reach that in my 30s. I reached that when I was 23.
ho gaya abhi.
So my mind did not prepare for what came after that, because I'm like, I got time. I'll figure it out. I got not thrown, I worked for it, so I'm not going to say thrown, but I achieved that goal. Amazing. Good job, Priti. But I never thought ahead of that. I never thought after that, what else do I want the Priti Malik brand to be?
So
now, while I'm trying to build my radio personality and work on the show, which is a lot of work mentally, we've talked about this, and doing whatever it is that comes along with the job, I've kind of lost sight of what else I want it to be.
So are you telling me that you don't really know the top 3 things that?
Yeah, I don't, and I'm okay to admit that. Like, I don't know, and I'm 37, and I don't.
But you
know
still
what else.
say that you still say that that you are not a star yet.
Yeah, because I feel like there's,
despite not knowing what you need to do to be a star.
Yeah, that's welcome to my mind.
Okay,
Chaos.
I think you are a star in my head,
Thanks.
and I think you're a star only because you're a fabulous performer. So
thanks, I appreciate that.
So,
but one day I'll figure out what I want in my life, and then I'll let you know. Then we'll come back and continue this conversation.
Sure, absolutely. A couple of last questions around work. You put a very interesting Instagram post the other day about being a good child syndrome.
I knew you would love that one.
Are you a people pleaser?
Yes. Oh,
Are you still a people pleaser?
Yes.
Is it difficult to be a people pleaser?
Yes.
Are you doing anything to kind of not be a people pleaser?
No. I think, that if you don't know that Good Girl post, it was done by a therapist, and I saw it randomly come up, and it's about how we're always taught to be the good child. So that means you say yes, you do things, you bow your head, you do things, and it just rolls on in life. I don't like upsetting people. I don't like having someone be miffed.
At the cost of your own mental health?
Yes. I don't like
not
someone
confronting.
I hate it. I hate knowing that someone is upset because of something that I may be the one who's right and that person may be in the wrong. But
or that person has made you upset.
Does not matter. But if that person is upset, that affects me to a point where it's ridiculous. It's really dumb.
You're a March baby, right?
Yeah. Can you tell?
I'm a March baby as well, so I can totally relate.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want anyone to be upset. Ever. I just want people to be happy. And it's really difficult. Have I gotten better over the years? Probably. Can it be improved? Yes. And I think that comes with age. I feel like that comes with age. I think I'm starting to say no a lot more to things I don't want to do.
Give me an example.
Like if someone says, let's hang out let's go to dinner. And I'll be like, nah, dude, not doing it.
I'm so thankful to you said yes to the podcast, Priti.
You're welcome.
Calling you up, listen, can you do the podcast? No.
No, but you know what I mean? Like using my time sparingly. Maybe 25-year-old Priti, even though she was exhausted, mentally exhausted, did not want to be there, would have said yes because she didn't want to say no. Not FOMO, but just didn't want to upset anyone. You know?
Right. I think that's not even upsetting if you tell people that you cannot really make for an event and all that. But I'm saying, have you recently had any confrontation where you really asserted yourself and you were like, no, this is my point of view and this is how it stays?
Yeah.
Have you done that? Like personally, professionally?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you like to share?
Yeah. I mean, Jeff and I just had an argument last week. And I was like, you're not seeing my perspective. And usually I would have just let it roll and let him, quote unquote, win. But I really had to tell myself, no, like what you did was not right.
Did he come around?
Yeah.
He did.
And it took a lot for me to have the strength to be like, yo, that's messed up.
Where does this fear come from? Where does this whole personality of not really being assertive come from? Do you think that you're going to lose relationships? Is that the fear?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, you know what the funny thing is though, Lokesh? Like at work, you can't mess with me. I'm assertive if my point is there. Like I'll be stern. I know it's surprising. It is. But in my friendships and my personal life, it's the complete opposite, which is the weirdest thing. And I think it's because I've been in that workspace is so important to me, that career, so that I've always been very assertive, and not in a rude or a brash way either. It's been like, hey, if I believe in something, I'll tell you I believe in it.
But my observation, I was shooting a TV show recently with you.
Yeah.
There were like some 15 people, the crew, camera people and all that. And, we were trying to like figure out where to shoot in your house and all that. And everyone had opinions.
Yeah.
And you had opinions
Yeah.
too. and the only person, I think you're one of those 2 or 3 ladies in the room, besides the director who was a lady, Neha.
Yeah.
And you, every time you had a suggestion, I don't know whether you realize this, and I observed this, every time you had a suggestion, you started with an apology.
Yeah.
You kept on saying, hey, listen, I'm sorry, could you do this? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
could you do that? And there were all kinds of men, including myself in the room. When we had suggestions, we just put them
Yeah.
across.
Yeah.
And so I feel, does it have to do with the gender as well, that women tend to like
Interesting.
kind of,
I think so. The apologetic side, 100%, I think that's a female thing.
also the non-confrontation thing, I'm saying,
For sure. But in that instance, I was doing someone else's job. So that's why I was
but
apologetic.
there were a lot of other people.
Yeah, but that's me.
I mean,
So for example, I'll tell you the
so
difference.
I'm the host of the TV show and not the director. But if I had an opinion, I mean, I was mindful of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was just seeing how it's all panning out.
Yeah.
And every time you had a suggestion, you started with an apology. And when I had a suggestion, that's not my job either.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
But it's, see, like, okay, so specific scenario, I'll use that as specific situation. I don't want to come into someone's house job and tell them how to do their job. Terrible feeling. When someone walks into a room and tells you how to do your job. Worst thing in the world, right? So in that specific scenario, you've got a DOP, you've got someone who's allocated to do these things, right? But I know what's going to work better because it's my house, you know? So that's the apologetic. That's my version. Also, what you just said though, as a woman, it is, about to say a bad word, ingrained in us, right, to be that way.
Yeah.
You must be apologetic about,
Yeah.
you know, putting your opinion on the table like that.
Yeah.
However, in a radio studio, my friend, I am not apologetic about laying down my
I'm so happy
opinion.
to hear that.
Because also, it goes back to who I work with as well, you know?
Right.
We have that dynamic
Right.
where we can have creative differences and get into an argument,
Right.
but 3 minutes later, we're hugging and laughing,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And I think that's I think the difference
Right.
is I'm comfortable in that space. The people who are here that day are all lovely people, but I don't know them at that
Right.
level that I
Right.
do Kris and Rossi.
Right, right. No, I'm so happy that you say that, because not many people, and especially not many women, get that space to be able to be just like assertive in themselves. You know, I've seen in office meetings so many times, every time like a woman has an idea, they're like, can I, you know, they'll
Yeah, yeah.
start with like
Yeah.
being very mild and very apologetic. I'm like, no, like just like everyone should,
Yes.
you know, put their
agreed.
ideas across
Yeah.
without feeling apologetic.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting. I'm going to just ask a couple of questions. It's also interesting how everything is tying up together so well. You not being confrontational, you know, you wanting to be a co-host, you see yourself as a performer, you know, all
It
these
all comes
things
in together.
together. Can colleagues be friends, Preeti?
Yes.
And I know that, you know, your answer is going to be yes, because you're like best friends
Yeah.
with Kris and Rossi. You
Yeah.
know, you have like a great working relationship and all that. Why I ask this question, because especially at a workplace, no matter how similar you guys are, at the end of the day, it's a competitive space.
Yeah.
It's a space where a Preeti is going to be rated on her performance, a Lokesh is going to be,
Yeah.
you know, rated on his performance. And even if I'm not a competitive person,
Yeah.
I'm going to be compared to a Preeti, and I'm going to be compared to a Mariam, I'm going to be compared to other person, right?
Yeah.
In that dynamic, how do you maintain good friendships? How do colleagues become good friends?
So obviously the only example I have is where my core station, I'm not talking about the network at
Yeah,
large, I'm
yeah.
talking about just our core station. Kris and I are like best friends. Like we do vacations together.
You do. It
Like-
really, it really,
Like,
it
we
really
literally-
surprises
yeah.
me. I'll tell you why it surprises me though. Sorry, I'm cutting
Yeah,
you.
no, go for it.
You know, like I was thinking the other day, when I take a vacation, forget about colleagues and forget about,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I don't want to like travel with my colleagues, because I want to take a break from the work, from the colleagues,
Yeah.
from my mother, who I love so much. You know, I want to take a
You're like,
break.
Ma, bye.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? I want to take a break from my, you know, son's duties. I want to take a break from my mother. Like, you know, I also want to like meet new people, get new perspective and all that. It is so fascinating that on a vacation, you go with Kris, you spend time with him, you know, and you come back to the studio and see the same person again after like 3 weeks of vacation.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you getting new perspectives? Are you meeting new people? Are you like recharging your mind?
Yeah.
How does it work? Like, don't you get bored of seeing the same face again and again?
No, you know
With due
what?
respect to your colleagues, of course.
Yeah. I think you know what it is. Okay, who's your closest friend? Think of the person that's your closest friend.
Neelu.
Okay, so Nilu. So you and Nilu, are there times when you guys just sit on the couch, don't say a word, and are just with each other?
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah?
We're
You're
not
just-
those people though, because we're
But
like,
yeah, you're
but
chatty.
yeah.
You can be you. Like if you told her today, let's
shut
just
up.
chill, she would oblige.
Yeah,
Yes?
yeah.
He's that for me and I'm that for him. It's not work to be friends for us. You know, we don't have to be like, hey, how are you? Da, da, da. If you're in a bad mood, it's fine. Just what do you want? You want coffee? Great. Sit here. Cool. Like it's that comfort. We literally are like brother and sister. We argue like brother and sister. We literally argue like brother and sister. We call each other names and everything. I'm like, I hate you, go away, what are you doing? And then we love each other at the same time. We really genuinely get along as friends. So we're kind of the same personality, so we like doing the same things. Our partners.
This is interesting. Same personality. What do you mean? Like, give me.
So
give me
like, okay,
what are the
so
things that are like similar between you and Kris?
so our partners, like his wife and Jeff, are very similar in personality. So it works. The dynamic works between the four of us as
But
well.
how are you and Kris similar?
So like for us, Kris and I, our ideal night now is 9 p.m. We're on the couch watching TV, ordering in food, pizza. He wants a double cheese, double mushroom. I'll probably just have a cheese pizza and we'll watch TV.
But are you watching the same show?
That doesn't matter.
Why?
Frivolous. Does not matter. We'll watch like Space Jam. Like, you know, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But we just couch people. If he wants to watch UFC, I'll watch. I'll ask him a million questions. I literally do not care. But like Briana and Jeff are different personalities. They're like, they want to do stuff. They want to go out. They want to be out. They want to do stuff. So it works beautifully. You know what I mean? So it's
Okay.
like that. You know, our personalities are, he's also a Pisces. So
He is,
yeah.
yeah.
So our birthdays are 2 days apart. So we just get along. So people are truly surprised when they're like, wait, you go on vacations together? It's weird. It's not weird. He's my friend. Brent also.
No, I get that. I
You
get
know?
that. Like, but I was telling you, like, I was giving you an example of my mother who I love dearly.
Yeah.
I mean, the only person I love so much, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes I want a break from her
Yeah,
as
so
well.
we
Like,
have
you know,
that
get
break.
off my back.
Yeah, so like in August, in July when we went home, he was in LA for 2 weeks.
Right.
I was at home in New York for 2 weeks.
Right.
Then we saw each other for a week, and then I was like, okay, go away, bye. You know, I'll see you. But he's one of those people that I can say, okay, go away, bye. You know, too.
Too much of you.
Yeah, like I need to go away. And he'll say the same thing. He's like,
of
okay, go
course.
away,
Yeah,
bye.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But there are not a lot of people that you could do that with.
I'm so happy that you found that friend at work.
Yeah, it's
very,
amazing.
It's very rare. It's very
Yeah,
rare.
it's amazing.
Yeah. You spoke about Jeff.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Jeff now.
Okay.
I believe you're the primary bread earner of the family.
Yeah.
How does that work out? Because that's something really interesting and that's really fascinating. And you guys, you guys are so nonchalant about it.
Yeah.
It just makes me so happy.
Thanks.
It's also such a refreshing change to see a husband-wife duo who are so much in love, and the lady is the bread earner, but it's not even a point of conversation in anywhere, like on
Yeah.
your social media, on
Yeah.
his social media, and all that. How does it work out? Does it affect egos? Does it inflate your ego? Does it deflate his ego?
Yeah.
How does that work out?
Okay, so I think I love that you said that. That it's not something that we talk about because for us, I think we just see it as that's the dynamic, and that's that. There's no conversation around it. I think for him, he appreciates it because he's a creative. So me doing what I do gives him the space to create. And I think that for him is an amazing way. Otherwise, in a lot of other places, so he's, if you didn't know, did engineering in college, has not worked in engineering a day in his life, and has always been a DJ. He wants to produce music. Music is his passion.
Right.
But if we were in the traditional sense, if he had to be the breadwinner, he could never do what he's doing, ever. He would have to suppress that within him,
Right.
find a job that is a high earning job,
Right.
get whatever the earnings are to be the primary breadwinner. And I think the way our dynamic works allows him to have that creative space where he can have a few weeks where he doesn't have the gigs and he can focus on that, and that's fine. Does he, a lot of times I have gotten messages like, oh, he's just a freeloader. Da, da, da. Well, he's not a freeloader. He works. Of course he works. He has a job.
What do they mean when they say he's a freeloader?
Because it's that whole goes back to the guy should be the one who's earning more, the primary breadwinner. He's, you know.
So are they also saying that wives are freeloaders?
That's the thing. But that's accepted.
And
It blows my mind.
which is so interesting because wives are working in the kitchen, looking after the house,
Correct.
raising kids. Just because it's not really considered as a regular job, they are freeloaders. I know Jeff cooks at home, and
Yeah.
Jeff
He
is
does
looking.
primary, cooker, cleaner, all of that. Like not cleaner, but like he takes care of everything.
And a freeloader at the end of it.
Yeah, right?
I mean,
Like, you know what I mean?
How
So
bizarre.
like, because he's the man, so therefore, you know?
but then does it get under his skin?
No, it doesn't.
No.
It doesn't. I mean, he's never expressed that to me in our 13, well, I don't even know how many years, 12, 13?
That's
Whatever
a good
it is.
sign.
I have no idea.
Lost count.
Lost count. So, he's never expressed that to me because I think he also realizes what a position that he's in where he may not have to worry. If he wants to shut himself for a weekend and create music, he can.
Do you feel the pressure though?
Yeah, I think so. But I think that's self-driven pressure. I just want to keep on top of my game and continue what I'm doing.
So it's not the pressure coming from a partner who's financially slightly dependent on you?
No, not at all.
It's not like
It's
that.
never like that. Because as I said, it's not that he's not earning.
Of course.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
He's
They have a bit, like he has a
providing
business.
yeah.
He's got his own night now.
Right.
He DJs still. Like, there's several streams of income that are there.
Right.
But the world may not see that.
Right.
The
right.
world sees this guy who's waking up in the morning and goes for walks
Right.
with his long walks with his dog every morning.
Right.
They don't see, he's not very active on social in that way.
Right, right. Also, I think the world kind of values a stable income
Correct.
than freelancing
Totally.
income.
Yeah.
I'm going to delve deep slightly.
Yeah.
I'm going to chat a little more about this. In one of your recent interviews, and I know that you kind of meant it as a joke, but it did come up, and you said that the first time when I met Jeff, he said that he's a DJ, and I was like, that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
Why was it the end of the
Because
conversation?
DJs growing up as well were like they're not going to be a stable relationship kind of person. Not the job, just the personality.
So not the money.
No.
So
Oh my God, that wasn't even a thought.
just because he's a DJ,
Like he's going to be this, like, what do you call those people? Why can't I think of the word?
he just hurts.
Like like the people who like date 50 people. What do you call them? Why can't I think of the word? I'm in radio.
Promiscuous.
Not even. Wrong word.
I'm
He's
thinking
like,
what
he's
fancy
gone
words
beyond.
now.
He's gone beyond.
Playboy?
But what do you call those? Like the
Casanova.
Yes, like one of those. That's it. That's what I thought. Oh my God, the money, please. The money was not even a thought. It was like, oh, he's gonna be one of those.
Has money ever been a part of the conversation? Has money been any slightly difficult conversation in the household?
No, not really. No, it really hasn't. And I'm being very honest here, but no.
Okay, and do you? Okay, I'll give you the context first,
Yeah.
where it doesn't really come across as a rude question, but we are living in a capitalist world
Yeah.
where we value money a lot, where men have more power because they are the breadwinners.
Yep.
Do you feel, being the primary breadwinner of this family, do you feel slightly more powerful? Does it sometimes come in conversations or in behavior that you might not even aware of, that you might have not even observed or seen? Has it ever happened that you have like more say in decisions that you're making as a couple?
No. No, it truly has not. I'll tell you the biggest reason. We've lived in an apartment. We used to live in an apartment in Mungkul before. I've lived in an apartment my entire life. Houses scare the crap out of me. I hope I can say that word.
You just did.
So
We'll find
if not,
out.
we'll beep it. They scare me. I'm not a house girl.
Why do they scare you?
I've never lived in a house until 3 years ago. Why do we live in a house, Loki? Do you think I wanted to live in a house? I did not. One day, while we were looking for apartments, my dear husband goes, oh, we've got some appointments on the other side of town. I was like, oh, there are apartments on this side? Walk into a beautiful Springs house. And here we are. That's not my decision, but we're here. Where are you right now? In a house.
Why do I feel like a couple therapist sitting on the
Yeah,
couch right now?
But that's the thing. So, like, people think that just because I may be the primary breadwinner, and I'll just pause here for a second. I'm the primary breadwinner because I have even though we're both creatives, I have the stable job.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm the one with the contracted,
Hence-
stable job. Hence, that's why.
Yeah.
You know, it's not for any other reason except that. So when we're looking around for houses and all these different things, it's what we both want as a couple. It's not like it's my money, so I decide. But it's also his money as well.
Of course.
You know,
Of
at the end
course.
of the day. And I think if you're the primary breadwinner in your relationship and you are throwing that around, we gotta take a look at that situation. That shouldn't be that should never be the way. It's like it's two people in a relationship, no matter, because there's gonna come a time that man who's a primary breadwinner, God forbid, loses his job, and then guess what, buddy, you're not the primary breadwinner.
The other person is.
Yeah, and then if you want to be treated the same way, you're gonna hate your life.
I also asked you this question because recently I was having a chat with one of my female friends, and she's all independent. She's all, runs a business and all that.
Yeah.
And she briefly mentioned, so I was like, are you okay? She was like, I was like, what are the non-negotiables? Because she's looking for a partner right now. And she spoke about trust and this and that and everything. But I asked her, I was like, you don't really need a provider, like a, traditional provider.
Sense, yeah.
Like the husband used to be the provider, right? So would you be okay marrying a house husband, who doesn't want to work and wants to look after the house? And her answer was no. She was like, no, the person has to like earn and earn more than me. So that's the reason I was like asking.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. But it's interesting that that's not the case in your.
No, I don't think so. Maybe because we were young when we met, and I never really gave it a thought. Does that make sense? I mean, we met. We were quite young, and also because, see, at the end of the day, right? Like I grew up in a household where my dad worked sometimes 2 jobs or 3 jobs. My mom was a housewife. She used to work, but then she was a housewife. But I never saw her as not working. Like she did everything to take care of the house. You know what I mean? So our place, take care of my sister and I, et cetera, et cetera. While my dad would be at work. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just not in me to look at it that way. If Jeff one day says, okay, I'm just going to give it all up and stay at home, that's fine. That's okay. I think that's okay, but it shouldn't be a complacency. There still needs to be some sort of an ambition. Like, okay, I'll still work on my music. That may not earn me money, but I'm still working on something.
Sure. Or bring something to the table.
Yes.
Look after the house.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm a huge believer of the fact that housewives should be paid, if not half the salary of the husband, at least a part of the salary, and not just the part of the salary to run the house, but a part of the salary that she deserves because she really raises your kids. That's a full-time job.
It's a full-time
cleaning, cooking,
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's an unpaid job, 365 a year. So.
Yeah, that you can't take a holiday from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. What is your idea of beauty?
Ooh.
Are you insecure of your body or the way you look?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I had major insecurities in my teens and 20s for sure.
Like what?
So it goes back to, remember how I said I was like head down, always concentrating on like career and didn't really have time. So I never really got the male attention. Just breaking things in my house, this man. I never had that situation. You know, when you've seen those memes, it's like you have the pretty friend and then you have the friend.
You're the friend.
I'm the friend. I'm the
Despite-
friend zone
despite
friend.
being pretty.
Yeah, I'm the friend zone friend. And I was like, yeah, I've never considered myself like the beauty queen of the world. Although once I think I probably was like, oh, maybe I'll try out for Miss India New York. Didn't do that. But you know what I mean? Like I've never considered myself like that. And I think, yeah.
So what are the specifics of the way you look or of your
That
body?
I don't like physically?
Yeah, like
Oh,
that you're
God,
conscious about. Like,
Oh, my teeth. I freaking hate my teeth, but I smile all the time. So it's like it doesn't make
I'm
sense.
looking at your teeth right now.
Doesn't make any sense because I smile like a hyena, but hate them. Hate my teeth.
And what a sparkling smile that is.
Thanks. But one day I'm going to get veneers. I'm just putting it out there. One day it's going to happen.
Whatever works for you.
Veneers in my life. I think my nose is big nose, but it's fine. I mean, I put a freaking nose pin on it to draw more attention to it, so I'm okay with that. And I think that's really about it. Like, I have a lot of dark circles because of what I do. I think the aesthetic or the traditional sense of pretty, I don't feel that always, personally. I don't think I'm...
Even now?
Yeah, even if you walk into a room, like, you're not you're not going to be looking at me.
Hmm.
I know that for a fact. And that's okay.
Hmm.
That's how I feel. Other people may view that differently, you know?
Yeah.
But that's how I feel. Like if I'm in a room of other women,
Hmm.
I'm not going to be the one that people are looking at.
You know, I can't really contribute much to this conversation because I don't know, I'm kind of blind to looking at people just physically.
Yeah.
For me, everyone appears just the same till they open their mouth.
I get that. I get that. But I think
So,
also, you know what, where this idea even became more for me was when I moved here.
of course, Dubai is all about like there's so much of
Oh
focus
my
on the way
gosh.
you look, the car you drive, the lifestyle that you have.
Yeah, like okay, so for us, right, a normal, like I'm dressed up by New York City standards right now. Like I've put in effort. I'm just wearing a jeans and a shirt.
T-shirt,
But
yeah.
this is standard to go grocery shopping here, you know? Like the level changes.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't fit that mold.
Do you feel like ostracized? Do you feel pressure? Do you feel like where have I landed myself into? And you spent like 13 years and in showbiz,
Yeah.
in public
It's hard.
eye.
It's hard. But you know, what a naive young girl never thought about these things when I was like, I never foresaw these situations in my head arise, you know? So like when I first moved here, I'll tell you, when I first moved here, I went to go grocery shopping for the first time, right? It's like a weekend. It must have been like a Saturday morning or whatever. And I've gone in my whatever PJs, flip-flops, and a tank top. Because that's a normal situation in New York to go and get your groceries across the street.
Right.
The looks I got, they were like, what's wrong with her walking out in her pajamas? I'm like, do people not walk out in their pajamas? Then I looked around, people do not walk out in their pajamas. So the standard and level is so vastly different. I'm just talking physical appearance. I'm not talking about the insides.
Right.
It's so different from what I'm used to. Like if you normally see me, I'm in mismatched clothes and flip-flops and just that's me, you know? So I think that also adds on to my insecurity because I think I have a really good fashion sense. I'm not going to say that.
do.
I think I have a great fashion sense. And when
Yeah.
I want to get dressed up or put effort into it, I think I do a really good job. But it's a lot. I think on a regular day, if you were to just walk in and see me no makeup, whatever it is, I would be very insecure.
And do you think it is more with women than men?
Oh, please, yes. Of course it is. Of course it is.
So then, okay, this is interesting. You feel the pressure. You think it's unfair. You are a public figure.
Yeah.
And yet you are submitting to these pressures
No.
because you're going to grocery shopping, you know.
No, I still go in my
But PJs?
mismatched. Yeah. Still go in my mismatched PJs.
Okay.
So I'll tell you.
Because I know like a large part of you on Instagram, you know, on your Insta stories and all that, your coffee shout outs in the morning and all that, and know how real you keep, you know,
Yeah.
there's just no makeup. But when there's makeup to be put on, of course you put on makeup and
course.
all that. But then like I'm asking you, do you go grocery
Yes.
shopping in your PJs?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
To just like make a statement and put a
No,
point
just because
across.
it is what it is. Like, what are you going to do? I think in your 20s, you're a little bit more impressionable, so you mold it. So I probably changed it then. But now I feel like as you get older, I'm sure you've realized this too. When you get older, you get a little bit more,
Don't care.
what is what it is, you know, this is me. And I think, you know what changed my being more barefaced on Instagram and being a little bit more real? I feel like I've always been a real person. I don't think I've ever changed myself to fit into a certain mold. But during COVID, I really leaned into that side of myself because I'm like, this is really me. I'm not some curated fashion photography type person. I'm just like a chill, like this is me, barefaced. If I didn't have to wear makeup to work, I would not. Like I truly, it doesn't make a difference to me. It's fine. A lot of times people will take photos and they'll be like, do you want to check it? And I'm like, no, it's okay. Just make sure my eyes are open because half the time my eyes are shut. Just make sure my eyes are open and I'm good to go.
Right.
Like I'm not, I don't want to use the word vain, but I don't really care about it that much. But what I do when I am in a room full of beautiful women, do I feel insecure? Yes, because I don't think I'm at that level. But I think
because whatever standards of beauty that
Yes,
the society has
yes,
standards set,
correct.
you have kind of internalized them, and you're still
Yeah.
like kind of figuring and navigating through those
Correct.
insecurities.
Yeah, for sure. But I think, you know, if I wasn't, it's so hard. I know everyone's like watching this going, wait, you don't make sense. You say you're insecure, but then you're secure enough to
No,
go on Instagram to be barefaced.
no, both can coexist.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
those two things do exist within me.
100%.
Like when I'm at a
100%.
gala event or something like that, and I'm looking at other people, I'm like, "Ooh, I don't really belong. I'm not really like this, but I'm okay. I'm still okay the way that I am as well.
Yeah,
You
we
know?
are a work in progress, and till the
Yeah.
time we really reach where we have normalized, bareface everywhere in
Yeah.
grocery stores, including,
Yeah. Oh my God, please.
you
I
know,
do not wear makeup to the
yeah,
grocery
yeah.
store.
Yeah. Okay. Which brings me to the next question. Brown girl,
Mm,
growing up in a white city,
yeah.
were there incidents of racism back home? Did you feel different while growing up in New York?
Okay. No.
Straight up, I'm asking.
Yeah.
Like, excuse
Okay,
my
I'll tell you.
bluntness,
No, I
but
love that. I love this question so much. And I want to ask you a question as well. I'll answer that question, then I'm going to ask you a
sure.
question. No. The answer is no. New York City is a unique situation, though.
Hmm.
So, where I'm from, Queens,
Hmm.
we, I think, speak like the most languages. We have the most diverse.
Nationalities.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's like you can literally find anyone from anywhere in the world in
Hmm.
Queens.
Hmm.
I think they call it the world's borough. That's what they call it. So, growing up, I never felt any different because when I looked around me, everyone
Hmm.
is from a different place.
Hmm.
So that is already out of the equation.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter.
So, what would your classroom look like?
Okay, I'll tell you.
Would you have people from different nationalities?
Yeah.
Like,
So I'll go through all the whole process. So initially, I went to a private school, which is a Catholic school.
hmm.
Most people were Indian in my school.
Hmm.
And then I had a different mix of nationalities in there. Then I moved to a public school
Hmm.
after that, New York City public school. So my elementary school was a mix. I had Korean, I had like literally everyone that you can think of,
Hmm.
like Spanish, Colombian, Puerto Rican,
Hmm.
whatever it is, all mixed together. Irish, Italian, me, like all mixed together.
Hmm.
And you have to realize that a lot of us are first generation American.
Hmm.
Like
Of
our
course.
parents are immigrants.
Right.
So that was it. When I moved to junior high school, which was 7th and 8th grade,
Hmm.
I was probably one of 2 Indian kids in there,
Hmm.
but I never felt like I was an outcast or anything. It was just, it's fine. It's just a normal,
That's the culture of the city.
yep, that's a normal thing
Hmm.
that 9 out of 10 times you're going to meet
Hmm.
someone that is of a different ethnicity.
Hmm.
You know, it's completely normal. It's not even a question.
Hmm.
High school, range of nationalities, Filipino, Greek,
So
Indian.
none whatsoever. In the most subtle ways, also.
No.
I'll give you an example. So,
But I'll tell you the example of racism and the only example of racism I've ever experienced at home, ever. And it was post 9/11. That was the only time in my life.
please go ahead.
So the first, after 9/11, which was extremely, obviously, difficult. After that, we had gone out, shortly after that, I would say probably a month after 9/11 happened, we had gone out to Sizzlers as a family for dinner, which we normally would on a normal occasion.
Hmm.
And there was a woman who was sitting on a table. We all got up to leave, my parents and I. Maybe there was another family with us, but we all got up and were walking either to our table or walking away from the restaurant. And this woman, clearly drunk, clearly served way too much, got up off the table, starts yelling at all of us, "Go back to your country."
Oh,
And
my
we
God.
all were like, we've never experienced this.
Hmm.
I have never experienced this in my life
Hmm.
up until that point. And I'm in high school and that happened. So I'm like, what? And I was so confused. I wasn't even angry. I think I mumbled, "This is my country." And we just kept on walking. It was just like the weirdest thing because the server got in, like, "Ma'am, you can't be saying that." Like everyone was like, it wasn't like a revolt all of a sudden. It was everyone like, "Yo, lady, what are you doing?" That was the only time. And I've never experienced anything aside
Okay,
from
so
that.
I'll give you examples of subtle racism
Yeah,
that
tell
kind
me.
of happens.
Yeah.
So every time I travel to Europe, for the first time, I actually flew business class recently, and I think was it this time or maybe the last time, whatever. I was going to use the washroom of the business class, and the server on the plane said, "Sir, you're supposed to use," because the business class was full of white people, right? So I'm like, "No, my seat is here." So that's one, and then he was very apologetic and all that. This is too in your face. You're
I'm
like completely shell-shocked
horrified.
right
I'm
now. No,
horrified at
this is
that.
too in your face. I'll give you subtle examples. I love Europe and I love traveling to different countries in Europe. Every time I walk into a souvenir shop or a cafe or a
Yeah.
restaurant, if I walked into the restaurant with a white person or before the white person, the person who's there at the counter will automatically look at the white person. Not will almost look through me, will always attend them first. And I don't mean to say that they're rude people or whatever.
yeah.
That's how they are trained. They see a white person and the
Yeah,
automatic
yeah.
focus goes
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, I'm here first or alongside, and I'm completely looked through. I wanted to explore from that point of view. Did you ever feel, when it comes to opportunities or just walking down the street or walking into a restaurant, did you ever feel that you're in a white country in America as a brown person?
No, and I think that goes credit to New York City.
Do you ever feel that here in Dubai? Has it ever happened? It has.
Yeah, a lot. I've only experienced, when I left New York is when I've experienced it more. Like in India, I've seen it.
India,
Oh
okay.
my gosh, it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I remember I had gone with my dad to India once. We were in India for the weekend, and we were standing in a hotel reception for quite some time to check in. And I think it was a white couple who came in from behind, and they took him straight away. My dad works in the service industry, so did not stand for that. And he just went, "Excuse me, we've been standing here. What's going on?" And they didn't really have an answer. And this is where I really lost it. And my dad, you have to give your passport to check in. My dad pulled out the passport, put it on the counter. What passport is it? It's an American passport. And the tune that changed. And my dad and I are looking at each other like, what? What just happened?
Yeah.
Just because of that tiny little thing?
Yeah.
It's basic human decency.
Yeah.
So, and I think my experience growing up will be very different from someone who's brown in a different city in the United States.
So the credit goes to
New York.
New York.
Because we are such a multicultural, diverse place. Ethnicity, honestly, is not even top of mind. But when I moved here, ethnicity is such a, like, if I say I'm American, I should be saying I'm Indian. But if I say I'm Indian, how can you say you're Indian? You're American.
That's a great segue for my next question. So, does it happen when you're meeting friends, they think that you are too American for your Indian friends, and the Americans think that you're too Indian for your American friends?
Okay. When you
And the
say,
second part of the question is, have you ever lost out on a brand deal to a white person?
okay, I'm going to ask you a question before I answer that. Okay. What do you think of Indians who grew up like me, like born and raised outside of India? Like, what's your perspective on them?
As in, like, what's your identity?
Yeah, what do you think?
I think you are Americans with the Indian, what do you call that? Yeah, you are Americans from India.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you view us when we are, let's say, trying to speak Hindi or connected to the culture, do you view it kind of in a way like, what are you trying to do? That's not yours?
Absolutely not.
Okay, cool. So that's the way we view it as well. So as far as the dual identities, when you say American friends, do you mean non-Indian American friends?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
sorry, my bad. You're white American friends.
right. Okay, so you're saying, is there a difference and all that? When it comes to that, no. It's just a part. As I said, everyone is so ethnically diverse. It's just an accepted part of everyone's life. Like if you go over to each other's houses, etc., it's just an accepted thing. You're going to try a different type of food or a different type of thing. It's just normal. It's a very normal concept.
But do your Indian friends think that you're too American for them?
I guess so. Maybe sometimes there must be some instances. I don't know. See, for me, I don't view myself as like I have to be American here and Indian here.
But what do you identify yourself as?
I'm an American with an Indian background.
Exactly what I said.
Exactly what you said. But I think over here sometimes there's a lot more emphasis on the ethnicity rather than the nationality. I've never lived in India. We don't have a house in India. Even my parents don't have a house in India. When they go to India, they live in a hotel.
So your appearance comes in the way of your identity, because when you walk to me, I wouldn't really see you as American,
Of course.
as an American with the Indian background.
Yeah.
Does that then irk you? Does that kind of...
No, No,
That-
because, but it's so different. Again, it goes back to New York, man. Like, your version of American is white. When you say American,
Yeah.
you mean white.
Absolutely.
When I say American, I don't mean white. You could be from anywhere.
That's interesting.
That's the difference. For anyone who, that's why everyone's like, why are you saying you're American? You're Indian. Because to them, American is white. And for me growing up, again, this is specific to New York City, American does not mean white. It can mean white. It can mean black. It can mean you're from anywhere around the world and you're still American.
I mean, yeah, 10 years ago, maybe I would think that Americans are white, but yeah, I mean, but now I think the world...
It's changing.
Yeah, like...
But that's the thing. I grew up with that perspective of American can mean anything. It doesn't have to be just white.
So it doesn't bother you if you're identified as American or Indian or whatever. Like, for example, if I were to meet you and say, hey, you're Indian, right? Would it be like...
It wouldn't bother me, but I would correct you because it's not right. Because I believe, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Indians get more upset at that than we do.
They do.
And I think there's this whole NRI gate situation going on. Like, I don't think...
No, I mean, I think it's also deep-rooted in the way the brown people have been treated over a period of time. There's, of course, hierarchy with the white and the brown and the black people and all that. So sometimes... So Indian people, I mean, I could be completely wrong in this when I say this, but Indian people want to kind of own your success. Priti Malik, who has risen above, grew up in America. Why is she not identifying herself as us? Why does she have to identify herself as...
I actually think the opposite.
Okay.
I think I believe, this is what I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Indians sometimes would be like, but she's not. I'm very proud of my Indian heritage.
And they will say that you're not Indian.
Yeah, because I'm not Indian.
So then they don't want to like kind of include...
Yeah, because I think sometimes I feel like, we grew up, okay, as first generation Americans, very rooted in our culture. Like growing up, right? Like we spoke Hindi in our house. Till this day, we speak in Hindi. My parents only speak in Hindi to me. Now, obviously, they speak English. But when we were growing up,
Little Preeti used to dance to bhajans. As you saw on Instagram.
But like, if you ask me about old English movies, I don't know. But if you ask me about old Hindi movies, I know. Freaking Shahenshah was on repeat. We used to stand there with pretending we had the jacket and all that. Like that's Satte Pe Satta. These are the movies that I grew up on. I don't know old English movies. I haven't watched most of them. That's the way we grew up. We grew up celebrating Diwali. We grew up, going to the mandir all 9 days of Navratri to do Garba.
What makes you American then?
But I'm American because that's our culture.
But your culture is pretty much Indian. Whatever you listed out.
So it goes back to what you perceive American and what I perceive as American.
So Indian culture is also American in your...
Because we are diverse. Being American
is so interesting.
Being American is being diverse.
That is so interesting.
So I love, what is American at the end of the day? We are a country of immigrants, right? This is so controversial, gosh. We are a country, okay, we're a city. I'm just going to claim New York. We're a city of immigrants, right? So being American is, I love celebrating the 4th of July. It's my country. This is where I'm from. But my heritage is Indian, and my country loves that I celebrate that part of me too. We have India Day parades. Fair. We used to have the megastar concert, and Shah Rukh Khan used to come to Nassau Coliseum, and we all used to go.
Right.
And then the next day I'd be falling over the Backstreet Boys.
Right.
That's our life.
Right.
It's such a normal thing to us, but I think it's hard for people outside of that to kind of grasp that concept of living in these two worlds.
I think you kind of summed it up pretty well when you say that being American is being diverse. So if you identify yourself as an American, you are basically focusing on the diversity of the cultures that you have.
Yeah. And they all kind of blend within me. And I feel I'm just as Desi as the next Indian. And I am proud to say I'm Indian. Fair. Not in the nationality sense. I'm super proud of that. I'm super proud of my culture.
Fair.
I've waved the flag as much as I can.
I know.
But I'm, at the end of the day, if you go down to the crux of it, your Indian and my Indian are two different things.
Absolutely, 100%. And yet very similar.
Yes, and still very similar.
I'm going to end the podcast with the last question. And there are like lots of things that I want to ask, but I think let me end the podcast with this question. Does aging scare you? That's one. And does it get difficult being an aging woman in showbiz?
Mm.
And I'm going to ask you very pointed questions. Excuse the blunt delivery and the bluntness of the questions. Do young people like Nala and Adam make you insecure about your position at the station?
Don't care about aging. I've never been one of those people to like try to hide your age. Don't care. Literally do not care.
Yeah, but then does it scare you that, that your body is aging?
Yeah, I mean, do I feel old when I get up off the couch? Do I own that and do I say it? Yes. Like I got my first gray hair, right? And I did a post about it. Most women, or a lot of women, would color that straight away and never let anyone know.
Yeah, I have never colored my hair though.
Because that's the thing, like, and it's fine to do both. Like, if that's you, that's you. To me, I don't think it matters.
No, 100%.
Yeah, and now the insecurity.
No, but I'm talking about when you say, so that's all right, gray hair and all that, you own your age and all that. But I'm saying, I mean, thankfully you have Jeff to like kind of look after you, but then you don't have kids. Do you think about old age? Do you think that who's going to take care of you?
Yeah.
All those things. Do you think you're going to be irrelevant maybe in future? Do you think because our industry is so focused, our
On
target
age.
audience is like 20 to 30, that precise, that limited. Do you think you're not going to be relevant to the younger generation? Do you think you could be asked to like kind of, leave?
See you later.
See you later. You've done your stint. All those things.
So I think with radio, we have this guy's gonna he's hell bent on breaking things in the house.
Credit goes to you because I'm feeling so comfortable here.
He just wants to stretch out.
Just like, yeah.
So I think with radio, we have a longer shelf life than we do on TV. I think that's one of the positives.
True.
You know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as your voice is there and you're on top of what's happening around the world, you can pretty much stick around in radio as long as they'll have you. Do I get insecure when I see a Nala or Adam? No, I don't get insecure because
थोड़ा तो यार प्रीति
नहीं
ऐसा
है. You know why? Because
कुछ तो
I
कुछ
was
तो ऐसा
because I
insightful
would
दे मतलब ऐसा racism भी नहीं ऐसा ageism
अब
भी
नहीं है
नहीं
तो नहीं है मैं क्या करूं? नहीं है. But with Nala and all that, I see myself in them. Like I see.
Yeah, the joy of seeing yourself.
Yeah, and it's like that. Like Nala and Adam, credit to both of them. They're so hungry to learn.
They are.
They're so hungry and eager to learn, and they just want to do. And that was exactly me. At 17, on my first radio internship, my job was to clean the prize closet. But I ended up doing 100 more things because I was so eager. I just wanted to learn. I was a sponge. Teach me everything that you know. And I see that, and it's so refreshing and nice to see that in the younger generation because I don't think
don't
we
you
see
ever
that
feel
often.
that Nala, let's say, who's so incredible at what she
Yeah.
does, and she's young, and she's exactly the target audience of the radio station that you work for. There would be and then suddenly you feel that all my years of experience, 20 years of radio experience, it doesn't really count for much because forget Nala. Let's say an influencer, an
Someone comes in, yeah.
Instagrammer who has
Yeah.
like 2 million, 3 million, 5 million followers on Instagram, right? And they can talk on the Instagram and they can talk on the radio.
Yeah.
Doesn't
No.
no. Okay.
No.
Wow, you're a very secure person, I must say, Preeti.
She's just yeah.
कौन कमाएगा फिर? पैसा कौन लेकर आएगा?
I look at it as it's a good thing. I think it keeps you on your toes.
Which is great.
I wouldn't call it an insecurity. I think it
has never crossed your mind.
No. I think more so it gives me a boost to sometimes we get complacent in our jobs because it's comfortable, but it gives me the energy to be like, hey, maybe I should look at things from a different perspective. I love that. In a good way. We were talking about this before the podcast, before the camera started rolling,
Yeah,
right?
We had another podcast.
We had a podcast before the podcast.
Before the podcast, yes.
So, we're talking about that, how that perspective sometimes injects this energy into something that you've been doing for such a long time. And I look at if the world of radio is in the hands of the Adams and Nalas of the world, then we're doing a good job. We're doing all right,
Well, that's a very, very beautiful way of looking at it.
Because you don't want radio. Like radio
Yeah.
is a beautiful.
You need to preserve it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful art form. It's a beautiful, beautiful way. If you think about it, all the industries have changed radio really hasn't.
Stood the test of time.
The formats have literally been the same for years and years and years. So if we have the Adams and the Nalas of the world,
So if they take over, you're saying that you might find your jam, or you would do something and just like get by with life with that.
yeah, I would hope that when that time comes, I'm at the point where I figured out my 3 things that I need in my life to continue Priti Malik. You know,
Fair.
I would hope by that time I've figured out, okay, if she needs to leave, she needs to leave. I'm talking to the third person. What the hell's wrong with me? If I need to leave, I need to leave. You know what I mean?
I get you. I
Yeah.
get you.
And I think,
And I hope that you find those 3 things
Yeah.
really soon, so that we get to see and we get to hear more of you on different platforms. And
yeah. I mean, I think so. I hope so. I hope
Yeah.
I find it too. Sometimes your brain is tired of thinking, let me tell you. Right?
yeah, all the time.
Right? I'm just like,
Okay.
oh, do I have to think of another thing? Jeez. It's hard.
It's
but-
never ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that everyone, I just want to say on one thing is that, you know, you were talking about egos and competition and all that. I think if we spent more time not worried about the other person, rather learning from the other person, we'd probably be in a much better position.
Of course. Of course.
And I understand egos and
Of course.
feelings get in the way,
Of course.
but I think, you know, yeah, I think that we could do better.
Easier said than done, I believe.
Agreed.
You know, but 100%.
Totally.
I mean, completely. Glass half full, glass half empty.
Yeah.
You have to like figure out what you're looking at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Is that
sure.
your gardener?
Yeah, sorry, did he just...
He just did, and it's like really. I
Sorry.
think that maybe that's a cue for me to like end the
Sorry, he's
conversation.
You know, no, it's fine.
Last few thoughts. Anything that you want to say?
What do I want to say?
I had a great time, by the way, and I think I know you better as a person,
Thanks.
and I think what you're doing not only on the radio but also on social media, living a happy life, living a real life, living an authentic life,
Thanks.
and even your dynamic with your husband, and I'm so fond of Jeff, you know.
Thanks. Everyone is. What is that?
Yeah. Does that bother you though?
No. I mean, sometimes I'm like, you don't see the grumpy side, all right? When his friggin' team loses in the football, you don't see that. You see a happy dappy Jeff.
Do more stories around that then,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I want to stay away from it. I care for my life, so I stay away from it. But yeah,
So
thank
yeah,
you. I
so
appreciate that.
I'm very happy that we
Thanks.
sat down and
This was a lot of
chatted.
fun.
Yeah, yeah.
It made me think about a lot of things.
Yeah, oh.
This whole Indian American, we could do a whole
Different-
thing on just Indian. I have so many thoughts, but yeah.
I
we
have
can.
so many other questions about hustle culture, about so many other things, but I think we'll keep it for another podcast. And
Part
maybe-
2.
Part 2 coming soon, or maybe not. I don't know.
Do we? I don't know. You decide if you want a part 2, I guess.
4 podcasts in 2 months. This is going to be the 5th one, so I don't know.
It's
If
okay.
you want more of Priti Malik, let me know in comments.
Sorry if you don't. Sorry, I've appeared.
I love you, Pri.
I love you. We should do a hug,
We should totally do a hug.
but don't let the mics clash. Bye.